I am so glad to have this opportunity. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking some time. I do appreciate it.
Yeah,
well, that's fine. After all, we've been part of this, and we're still part of it, you know.
It's in your blood, I think.
I think so.
It's been blood since when I was 18. No, this is 1944. I joined the Air Force and went to Keesler Field, and they dropped our program. So I spent a year in Germany with the 695th Air Force Band. So I've been in it ever since then.
Well, you were in it in high school, and you played instruments and all that good stuff in high school.
Where did you grow up?
In a small town in southern Iowa. My name was Sigourney. So.
And what did your dad do?
Oh, he worked for the county. He was a foreman for bridge construction.
And did you have any music in your home when you were little?
No. There were 9 children in my family. I was the only one that was really active in music.
Your mother played the piano.
Yes, somewhat.
And
I had a sister
loved music.
I had a sister that played violin for a while in high school orchestra. Other than that, why?
Mrs. Kephart, did you grow up in the same town?
No, I grew up on the East Coast.
Oh, really?
In Washington, D.C. and Alexandria, Virginia.
I love it out there, yeah.
Yeah,
And what did your parents do?
my parents were government attorneys. My mother and father both.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been interesting.
It was. I was lots of history at that time going on, World War II and so forth. So, yeah. But I was not in music. I was exposed to piano lessons, but they didn't take, you know. But enough of a background that I have a great appreciation of music. I'm part of the audience. And all musicians need an audience.
Absolutely.
Well, she's been part of it for the last, 50, next year will be our 50th anniversary, 60th anniversary.
60th.
So you've been part of it for 60 years.
Right.
How did you two meet?
At college, at the University of Missouri.
On a blind date.
It was a blind date.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, yes, well, it's a long story. You went there because of journalism.
Right.
At that time, I think it was the #1 journalism school.
But still is.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
And, well, it's a long story. I come back from the service, and I started at college at Iowa-Wesleyan here in Iowa, and that's at Mount Pleasant, and I took a train every weekend to St. Louis and studied with the first horn player in the St. Louis Symphony. And that summer, the following summer, he talked me into going out to New York. I played in an orchestra with him. And since he was in the St. Louis Symphony, he also conducted an orchestra in Columbia. So that's how I ended up at the University of Missouri at Columbia.
He conducted the Burl Symphony at Stevens College.
And they paid me to I played first horn for the symphony.
Huh.
So that helped through school.
Just to back up a second, were you drafted for the war?
I enlisted 1944. But they didn't call me until the fall of 45. By that time, the war in Germany had ended. The one in Japan was still on. But that's when I went overseas, and then played with the 695th Air Force Band.
That must have been an interesting experience.
So we spent a year in Germany, right?
Wow.
So
what hopes or aspirations did you have after the war?
Well, I went to college to become a band director, and I was. I came back to Iowa as a band director, and I was a band director. We lived in Muscatine, and I was band director for 3 years, and then Sandy Sandberg talked me into working for LeBlanc. No, not then.
No, you went on.
I went to Davenport and worked at a music store for calling on schools for about 3 years?
Roadman for,
About 3 years.
yeah, about 3 years.
In 1956, I joined LeBlanc.
What store in Davenport did you work for?
Cook's Music,
Oh, okay.
which is no longer there.
Now tell me about Sandy, because I've heard about him, but I've never met him.
Sandy was the sales manager for LeBlanc when I worked for LeBlanc. And when he hired me, I kind of took, he was a representative then, so I kind of took his job. He went in as sales manager. And Gil Marshner was the vice president and
Treasurer,
the
financial
treasurer,
guru.
right. And the accountant and at that time. And we've become very good friends with Sandy. And his daughter, we live in Decorah, which is the home of Luther College. And his daughter came out to Luther College to go to school. And yes, we were very, very good friends for many years. And Sandy, I think, just about knew everybody in the music industry at that time. But he died some years ago.
Oh, at least 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and then Gail passed away here about 2-3 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. And his wife now is living out east, close to their daughter.
No, South Carolina, with
Yeah.
close to their son.
Oh, son,
Bob,
that's
yeah.
right, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in touch with her occasionally. Yeah.
Well, tell me about LeBlanc. What was it like when you joined there?
Oh, gee. I don't remember how many representatives we had. About 4 or 5, I think, to cover the whole United States. And that was in 1953, I think, when I joined LeBlanc. No, 1960.
No.
1956.
57, 56, 57,
56,
I think.
yeah. And no, it was fine. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Got to know a lot of music dealers and a lot of nice people. And see, that's what I first knew. Our first knew Link. I got to know Link then.
Larry Lincoln, yeah.
Yeah, I knew him in college, University of Iowa.
There's a rumor that you sold him an instrument.
Well,
You've done your homework, haven't you?
I think he tried to steal it. Yeah, I would put on a display when they had music stuff going on at the University of Iowa, and Link used to give me the hardest time. He was an ornery kid, and I think at that time, gee whiz, what's his name? Head of music department.
Jaime Vox.
Yeah, Jaime Voxton. I think he was playing LeBlanc, and I think that's why. I think maybe that's why Link bought LeBlanc. That and the fact that he gave me a hard time. I think he was an ornery kid. But after that, we've become good friends, especially working with NAMM.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you have much?
See, Link was from Iowa too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, well, I got a lot of stories from Link.
I was going to ask you if you had much interaction with Vito.
Yes, and I got along with Vito very, very well. And of all the years, in the years I worked for him, I will honestly say he never said one bad word to me. He was really, with me anyway, he was a gentleman.
Vito was very passionate about music education and very supportive of
but yes, I got along with Vito very well, and I'm sure there are other cases, but I think maybe you might know some of them, but I got along with him very well.
Well, he certainly.
In fact, he gave me an annuity in the company at that time.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. What was your question?
Well, I was just thinking that he was certainly a pioneer. He certainly did some very interesting things.
See, he came back after the war, and he and Glenn Miller were friends, and they had intentions, from what I gather from Vito, of going together after the war and